Thank you for listening to our lessons from our daily Bible reading. The lesson today is one thing. Have you ever realized how many things in our life focus on asking for something? We have little stories about finding the genie's lamp. You can get your wish. You find looking, and whenever your children first start noticing the stars, you tell them there's the first star. Wish upon it. On your birthday, you put a little cake before them and blow out the candles and make a wish. Well, every one of us, we have aspirations, we have goals, we have desires, and that's good and proper. And it's good to think about that, the joy of looking and wishing for something. Well, let's suppose you had one thing that you could ask for, and this was from God. And God's able. It isn't just a wish as you blow out candles. It isn't rubbing the side of some lamp. It's asking the God of heaven. And if he were to tell you, Jack, you can have one thing. Well, in our reading yesterday, there was a man who was in that situation. Solomon, we find in 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, that the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night and said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he has walked before thee in truth and uprightness of heart with thee. Thou hast kept for him this day great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David thy father. I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or to come in. Thy servant is in the midst of the people which you have chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for the multitude. So now comes his request. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I can discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy great people? Solomon at that point in his life, he realized the great task before him. And he realized the great ability that God had, not him. And he asked then for wisdom from God to know right and wrong, good and bad, to judge the people properly. In our lives, we oftentimes wonder, what would I ask for? Well, God tells us as children of God, and I'm not, you have fun with your little wishes and such as that we make with our children, but whenever it comes down to our heart, our desire, our goal, Jesus has made it plain in Matthew 6:33 that our goal, everything in life, ought to be focused toward God and his kingdom. We let our light shine, Matthew 5:16. The purpose of that is that we might glorify God and others can see it. In other words, we have an influence on those about us. That's what Solomon wanted, and that's what we ought to want. You think about Jesus whenever he was in the garden facing death. What's his prayer going to be? Well, he said, if there's any way, let this cup pass from me. But nevertheless, not my will, but thine. All through his life, he lived so that he could fulfill his purpose to seek and save the lost. And really, that's our goal, to be right with God, encourage and help others to be right with God. And we need wisdom. James tells us to ask of God for that wisdom, but then in James 4, he gives us a little bit of a preview of what happens oftentimes. You ask and you receive not, because you ask amiss that you can consume it upon your own selves. In other words, it's all about me. My prayers to God are the wishes, the goals, the desires of my heart. And what is my goal? Well, it ought to be the salvation of my soul, salvation of those around me, that I can be that proper example, that encouragement, that strengthener to know good and bad, to help others around me. I pray that we learn a great deal from Solomon, from Jesus, from others in their prayers, and that we don't ask those things selfishly, but we look unto God, his will, his desire, what he sent his son for, Whenever we do that, we become a little bit like Solomon was as we read of him in 1 Kings 3. Thank you for listening. You have a good day. Ask of God and ask properly. Thank you again for joining us in this Bible study. We remind you, if you'd like to follow along in our daily Bible reading, the link below in the description of this video will give you the PDF so you can read right along with us. If you have any other questions or if you'd like information on a Bible study, contact us with the information provided on the screen before you.